Yeah. So I might be about 10 years late taking a look at this guy, but I'm excited to do so because we just recently looked at, actually in the last review, we looked at the first edition Deluxe class Vehicon, and I had never ever handled that, seen it in real life, nothing. Same goes here. I've heard tremendous things about this mold over the years, but I have never ever handled it, seen it, heard anything else but good things about it. I didn't know it firsthand at all. Now, finally, all this time later, we can finally take a look at it, courtesy of our buddy Razor Bear. I am very thankful that he sent this to me. He sent me one first edition and two of these guys, so a nice kind of trio. Is the hype for this guy real? Because it kind of was for the first edition. In fact, we did a couple of comparisons in that video, and we'll do a couple more here as well. Is the hype real? Is it? Well, we're about to find out, because this guy is going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, light them up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton, and it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All that in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course you can hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member at any given time. And I've heard only good things about this mold. I never thought I'd actually get a chance to experience it all these years later. I was sad that I'd missed it because of how stellar it tends to be touted. But finally, on a lovely Friday in November, we get a chance to take a look at this lad. And I couldn't be more excited. So without any further ado, how about we head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. So if this seems like a little bit of deja vu, it's because the last review we did was of the Transformers Prime First Edition Vehicon. And in that review, very near the beginning, I did kind of show that vehicle mode next to this vehicle mode. Fun fact, I'm actually recording these two reviews back to back. Like I just finished doing the first edition lad, and he's still in robot mode. We'll see him a little bit later in robot mode, because I actually didn't compare the robot modes in the last review. So if you want to see kind of what the first edition vehicle looks like next to this, then hey, go for it. As a matter of fact, I have two of these courtesy of our buddy Razor Bear, and I think the intention is that the first edition would be like the leader of a trio of Vehicons. And I really like that. I thought that that scored very well. I don't have instructions for that or this, so I had to just figure it out. This is an example, as was that, of a mold that I've never in my life experienced, but people said consistently, hey, man, the Vehicons are so good. And I wanted to do the first edition one first, because I know the first edition stuff tends to get really touted as fantastic. And you know what? That one scored really well. I agree. I was able to figure out the transformation. It was mostly intuitive. The only thing that I kind of messed up was I said, boom, hey, here's the robot mode, when I didn't realize that the upper body was supposed to swivel around. And the only reason I noticed it is because his hands were backwards after I'd opened them out. Very small thing, but you know what? Considering all of the way the doors unfurl there, considering how the front bumper opens up to become the legs, considering the twist of the upper body, there's actually a lot of moving parts within the first edition Vehicon that makes it a fun transformation to go from robot to vehicle and vehicle to robot. Well, what about this guy? Because this guy has been touted as even better. He has his blaster here on his side. I think the larger kind of cannon here is better than the smaller blaster that came with the first edition. But, you know, to each their own, I suppose. To be quite frank, my only experience with the Vehicons at all was really with these little Legion class guys, right? This little guy. And I love it. Don't get me wrong, I think that they're great, and I think that the purple looks very animation accurate. I feel like the animation accuracy here is where he's going to suffer just a little bit. If you are somebody who really feels like Vehicons have to be purple. And granted, they were in Transformers Prime, at least for the most part. But if we also incorporate Robots in Disguise, 2015, and the Vehicons that followed Starscream in that, they could be multiple colors. We didn't really see it in Prime, but we certainly saw it often in RID, which is supposed to be a continuation of the exact same continuity. Take that for what you will. In car mode, he rolls great. I like that we have the wheels colored in. On the front we have a little Decepticon logo. I feel like in stock photography and whatnot, there's maybe a little more detail, like, I don't know, maybe it's not, but I feel like that there might be a little more detail on some of the stock pictures. Like, I feel like, no, back here is painted. You know what? Back here has purple, but in the stock pictures that I've referenced and have looked at, I don't think the back actually has the purple. Weird. I don't know. So, anyway, I'm happy with the car. We're going to take this off of the side, and all this has is like a 5mm peg on the side that went into a 5mm port back here, kind of above the tire, right? Now, like I said, I've only heard brilliant things of this mold. Let's see how true it is. I'm going to begin by, and again, I'm just trying to figure this out because I don't actually have instructions. Keep that in mind. So oh, this is also what the underside looks like. So, cool, I guess. I feel like we will begin, yeah. Let's pick off first the arms from the side. Give ourselves a bit of room here to work. Then we should be able to pick up all of the top of the vehicle, and I've heard this, but I'd never seen it until now. We're going to split all of this? Is that, yeah, we're going to split all of this, and then this folds in, this folds in, this folds in, the foot folds out and comes down, and all of this, I guess, folds down on the side somehow? I assume? Was I supposed to fold this down on the side first? Maybe I don't fold it down on the side. Maybe it just like folds back a little bit. I'll have to see that in just a little bit to kind of see if I'm doing this part right. Maybe it's supposed to go forward. I don't know. I'm gonna have to fiddle with that again. Remember, no instructions. And I'm sure somebody is like yelling at the TV screen. Or the TV screen. Yeah, your TV screen. That's right, guys. That's where I'm to. You're yelling at your TV screen. We're gonna put, although I suppose some people might use a TV screen. We're gonna fold that up. We're gonna fold that up. We're going to fold out the foot and bring that down. I do have to figure these pieces out on the side, and I will do that because there's obviously something there that I'm missing. I like that the back bumper comes back, and when it does that, it kind of like forces the head up. I find that really clever. And then it kind of comes down around the back. Then with the arms here on the side, we should be able to, I would think, fold out a hand and fold out a hand, and yeah, and then kind of unfurl, unfold the arms, right? So we kind of swing it out and swing it down, and then we kind of bring the whole thing down, and we have very weird arms indeed. But in the end, boom, here basically we have our guy in robot mode. I just need to kind of double check what to do with these pieces on the side, and then we'll kind of take a look at him and all of his scores and a comparison with the first edition. Okay, so it looks like those pieces are just supposed to stay up on his legs. I didn't know if they moved or not. And you know what? They're not obtrusive at all. If they stay on his legs, fine, cool, I'm fine with it. His transformation is gonna get a 10. Like the whole car unfurls and folds up to go into the legs. I think that's genius. The head kind of automorphs up when you put the back bumper back. The whole way the arms kind of unfold and unswivel and unfurl creates a ton of articulation. Here we can see him next to the first edition guy. The first edition guy naturally is bulkier. He's still fantastic though. And we see him next to the Little Legion class. The Little Legion class is most definitely kind of the most animation accurate version. I'm also pretty sure that there was like a Jet Vehicon version that looked pretty accurate. Might have just come out in Japan. So there's been a few iterations, right? So we're going to take him out of it and him out of it. And let's talk about other scores for this guy. So in terms of looks, he's so solid on his feet too. In terms of looks, it's definitely a Vehicon. To me, it looks a little more blue than purple. And I feel like they should be mostly purple with, say, black thighs, you know, maybe black biceps. I feel like to get the black card, they had to sacrifice the color accuracy in robot mode. However, the argument could certainly be made, as I mentioned earlier in this video, that Vehicons can come in many colors. I look at this and I instantly know it's a Transformers Prime Vehicon. So I'm going to give it an 8.75. You know, it's definitely a Vehicon. I'm cool with it. So we have a 10 for the transformation, an 8.75. The guy's scoring very well. You will also notice that I have his blaster over on his arm. Now, there is a peg that can go in the hand, a 5mm peg that can go in the hand and hold it, no problem. There's also a little tiny notch up here on the forearm. And if we take this off, under right here, there's two little notches that will just fit down over the start. If you fold in the hand, they should fit down over the start. Will they do it on both sides, I wonder? I know they've done it on that side. I don't know if it'll work on both sides. It might not. I can't seem to get it to work on this side. But nevertheless, if you want, you can put the peg in the hand as well, right? So that's up to you, kind of what you do with that. I think the bigger, longer version of that accessory is better than the one that comes with the first edition. Okay, so remember, a 10 for the transformation and an 8.75 for the look. Right now the guy's getting about a, I don't know, we'll say a 9.25-ish. 9.5. Let's do the articulation. The head goes left, right. It can look up a little bit. It can look down a little bit. The arms go all the way around. They can go out to the side that far, but because of the way the hinges are here, you can actually get the arm up even further. So, like, out that far, but if you want it up more, like, it can do it because of the really weird hinge kind of up here. There is a bicep swivel. And even when you have it like this, you still have an elbow. Or if you wanted to turn it this way, you still have an elbow. Almost any way you want to turn the arms, you have elbows and the ability to go out. And like, it's not even just 90 degrees. Like, it's a little over 90 degrees. The hands can go back and in. No wrist swivel. That's a bit of a bummer. No waist. That's the one bummer with this mold compared to the first edition. First edition has a waist. This guy does not have a waist. So, slight bummer, but the leg can go way forward, the leg can go way back. We have a thigh swivel. We have just shy of 90 degrees at the knee, just shy of 90 degrees. No ankle tilt, but the toe can go forward and back. He does stand solid. There's no doubt about it. I mean, ankle tilt would be nice, waist would be nice, a little bit of a deeper knee would be nice, but for something that stands so solid, he can actually score a ton of dynamic poses. I'm going to say that the articulation is a solid 8.5. I mean, yeah, it could be a little bit better, but it's a solid 8.5. The guy was getting about a 9.25. I'm going to say that overall, the Transformers Prime Vehicon, despite the fact that it's not maybe as purple as some people would like, despite the fact that we have a couple of little articulation hindrances, this is just fun. It's fun to go to car mode. It's fun to go back to robot mode. It's enjoyable. It looks great. It looks the part. It is generally functionable. Like, I don't think you're going to have too many poses that you would want to get them in that you're not going to be able to get them in. I'm going to say the overall score for this, let's see, we were at about a 9.25. This guy said it was about an 8, 8.5. I'm going to say the overall score for this guy is about 8, 9. I think that the first edition might be ever so slightly better because it does have a little more articulation. But to be fair, even with the first edition, like he doesn't have a bicep swivel, so he's not perfect either. Somewhere between the two, there is, I think, the perfect Vehicon. But as it is, with both of these two, I think we have a tremendous Vehicon force. I'm glad that I have another one of the RID ones so that I can actually have a nice little kind of trio band to serve Megatron. If this guy was a 9.2, then this guy's a 9. If this guy was a 9.5, this guy's a 9.2. I think the transformation here is better, but the loss of a waist is the only thing that does it for me. Fantastic molds, and I'm so glad that all these years later, I finally had a chance to experience them firsthand. And here we are once again, and here this is, and okay, so does it look like a Vehicon? Again, much like with the first edition, I feel like there should be more purple here. You know, there's certainly some liberties that have been taken. Like, I feel like maybe the arms should be bigger than what they are. But you know what? The head is unmistakable. The chest, the torso is unmistakable. Generally speaking, I look at it and think, yeah, it's Vehicon. Duh, they nailed it. As for the coloration, while I would like to see more purple, I also acknowledge, as I said, that Vehicons come in many colors. That was shown during Cyberverse, for example. So the purple's not a deal breaker. In terms of the articulation, this guy's tremendous. I mean, the legs are great. The arms are bonkers in terms of how well articulated they are, with all kinds of outward movement and elbows that are super deep and can go like his elbow here technically can go all the way around. Like, come on, that's crazy. The wrists, I mean, they can rotate down. Granted, there's no wrist swivel, but they can rotate down. No waist is the bummer here, but everything else is articulated so well on the guy that I find that I really don't notice it, and that I can still do pretty much everything that I want to do with him. I guess an ankle tilt would be nice, but we do have the toe that can move, and it's not a deal breaker by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, would an ankle be nice? Or a toe tilt at least be nice? Sure. Would a waist be nice? Sure. Does it bother me that it's not there? Not really. The price that this was at the time for the engineering was fantastic, man. And the couple of little things that were missed, like, you were able to kind of give it a buy and give it a pass because, you know what, this thing was like $10 here in Canada. For $10, this was tremendous. The engineering is crazy with the way everything folds up and goes in the leg and then unfolds to come out. It makes such logical, simplistic sense while still being involved and interesting. I think the engineering is great. I think the articulation is very acceptable, and I think the look, while I would personally like more purple, absolutely captures the look of the Vehicons really in a nice way. I'm so happy to have a version of the first edition and two versions of this to flank him. While I think the first edition is probably objectively a little bit better because it does have things like a waist, for example, though it doesn't have a bicep swivel, I have to say they're very comparable, and personally I prefer this one, but between this and the first edition there isn't a weakness. They're both tremendous. Let me know what you think about this iteration of the Transformers Prime Vehicons, or the first edition for that matter, or what you think about a comparison between the two. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use that donate link. Check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through Spring, or hit the join button right here on YouTube and become a channel member. Hit the subscribe button, man. Stick around and have some fun with us. And don't forget that somehow, some way, each and every single day, you do make a difference in the world, and I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way right here inside the videos.